Yesterday we had information that 150 schools were not open. So I would like to get some better understanding of what would have occurred.
What's up, family? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to our channel. Today's video is a serious one, so I need you to lock in with me. We are reacting to a video featuring Senator Damion Crawford of Jamaica. He's demanding answers about schools in Jamaica after the hurricane. Before we start, make sure you like, subscribe, and please watch this video until the end because I'll be back with my honest thoughts, and this affects real people, real children, real parents. Let's get into the video.
Yesterday we had information that 150 schools were not open. So I would like to get some better understanding of what would have occurred.
This was from the Standing Finance Committee?
Yes.
Right, I just indicated, member, that we had consulted the data this morning because our principals update. It's a live database. Likewise, we got to ADPEM this morning to verify again the shelter data. They submitted a latest report to us which indicate there's a decline in the number. So it is a live database. That data that was shared yesterday was dated, and the new data set is indicating that we are at 986.
986.
Yes.
You said earlier that there was, what, 50 schools still remaining as shelters?
55.
55 as of this
55.
morning.
So that would indicate that there are some schools remaining as shelter that is considered open.
Yes, because the student, remember, the shelters, they are not utilizing all of the blocks, right? And then some of the students from these schools being used, they have been hosted in other schools. Say, for example, Petersfield, that we know about,
yes,
they are at the church. So the Baptist church has given us the facility to set up the tents, and we are engaging the students in their rotation. Godfrey Stewart High School has also hosted some of them in the rotation.
So in this case, is Petersfield considered open?
Not the physical school,
right,
but the continuity of learning, which is the goal of the plan. The students are being engaged on rotation, teachers are involved, and we consider that operational.
But of those 55 schools, just to say that some of them might only have like 7 or 8
in the
persons
shelter.
in the shelter. So
Like,
it
for
wouldn't,
example,
it wouldn't take up, it wouldn't prevent the entire school from operating.
Yes, but Chairman, all right. So the Petersfield, he said, would have been considered and counted in the open based on the church.
The facilities that we're using to continue
So
learning.
how many schools do we have that are physically open? Do you have that?
We're getting the data for the whole school.
All right. So the schools that have both the shelter and the schools, what are the systems put in place to ensure security of the children and exposure of the children?
Within the shelters?
That are both shelter and schools at the same time?
Well, those centers that we have, those schools that are being used as learning centers for continuity, the blocks are managed. So there's a shelter manager in the shelter. There's a conversation and a relationship. So persons are secured in a particular location, and the blocks that are removed from the shelter.
There's a segregation.
There's a separation on the plan.
So you also indicated that 298 schools were of extensive damage.
Yes.
Severely damaged is the statement that you made. So these schools that were severely damaged, they are also currently open?
Some of them, yes, Chair, because we have the support of our international development partners like UNICEF, and we have got tents. So we have deployed tents, which is what we call under the emergency temporary learning spaces.
In these same spaces?
In some of these spaces, yes.
So construction is happening in these spaces?
Well, we have begun the cleanup in some areas, and I know NET has begun the discussion with several of our contractors.
Usually we have contractors going into schools and working, but there are safety mechanisms that they have to take into consideration and put in place. So they work with the principals to segregate that area, and that becomes a workspace.
All right, I'm happy to hear about the safety measures, but how does this impact the institution of learning and the environment of learning? I'm sure there's a lot of hammering and stuff like that that is happening.
That's why we have, so part of the, yeah.
Chairman, we have a
So
little-
they
Yeah,
work
we
on
understand.
weekends after school, but also we have emphasized with the project teams and the contractors that there has to be significant dialogue and agreement
No.
with the administration of the schools to work out.
We have 30 more.
All right, hold on, since I'm getting, Mr. Crawford, after you've gone about 7 or 8 questions, I think you
No,
could stop and
Chairman,
allow other
with
members.
due respect, Chairman.
And allow other
There-
members.
there-
And we can come back to you. We
Oh,
can come
not
back
a
to
problem if you want to come back,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be hastening not to ask
No,
the
I'm
question.
not saying that you mustn't ask
All
questions.
right, fine. So
but-
you can come back.
yeah,
So let me
but I
ask one
think-
more and then
yeah,
you can
go-
come back
go one
around.
more and then we can
No
move
problem
on.
with that, Chairman. Approximately how many students have been displaced from their school situation due to Hurricane Melissa?
No, I'm not sure the previous lady was finished. I think she was interrupted by the back and forth. Were you finished, or would you like an opportunity to?
It was really just to emphasize that we do have safety mechanisms in place. We understand that school happens, and usually we work out with the institutions the best times to do work.
I asked for the number of students that have been displaced by Hurricane Melissa
That's a
from their schools, not from their homes. Schools.
from their schools.
Yes. And what's the attendance records showing for the percentage that are back in school?
Okay, so as I indicated, the schools are up and running, majority of them. We have a few of the schools that are physically not available, and so those students are being hosted. So in Region 3, we have 1,135 children from a closed school that is rotating, and that would be a little bit disruptive. From Region 4.
Sorry, give me that again. From Region 2?
Region 3.
3?
The affected regions 3, 4, and 5. Region 3, which is 1,135. Region 4, 2,568. And Region 5, 3,018.
3,018.
Yes, so about 6,718 in total.
These are the schools that have been
Closed.
Totally
and so
closed.
They are being hosted at different schools by rotation. So in terms of disruption, in terms of movement and so, these would be the most affected because they are not in their physical schools.
So
they are moving into other schools and they are rotating as well. So they are not, all the students are not accommodated every day. So they may be 3 days in, 2 days out as it relates to remote and the blended. The face-to-face and the remote.
I can't say that I'm understanding. These children are going to their schools or other schools?
Other schools. They have been displaced from their physical location.
Right. So this is what they're called host schools?
So they are being hosted into other schools, yes.
But the data that we have here is that a total of 680 is being hosted. Your attention to page 2 of the report, section 4. In this section, it was indicated that we have approximately 680 students that are being facilitated in some way at a host school. Information garnered here was that regions 3, 4, and 5 are the most impacted regions. Regions 3 has 1,135 students whose schools are not in accessible operation. However, only 10% approximately of that is being hosted. Region 4 has 2,568 students who don't have a school to access, their own school to access. Only 61 of that is being hosted. And Region 5, which is 3,018, only 90 is being hosted. It therefore calls for my concern as to what is generally happening with the students who are not being hosted.
The
table as outlined here, it's actually showing the number of students being hosted within the region. So although regions 3, 4, and 5 have been affected, they are still hosting students. So there are students being hosted within even the affected schools.
Thank you very much for watching with me until the end. All right, pause right there. The first thing that immediately jumps out to me is the confusion with the numbers. At first, Jamaicans were told only about 150 schools were open. Then suddenly, that number jumps to 986 schools affected. That's not a small mistake. It's not a typo. That's a massive difference, and it matters. It matters because when you downplay the number, you downplay the crisis. And Damion Crawford is doing exactly what an opposition leader is supposed to do. He is asking questions when things don't add up. Another thing he brings up, and of course this part really bothered me, is the definition of the word open. Because apparently, a school can be roof damaged, classrooms unusable, students displaced but still can be operational. Why? Because students are rotating between churches, other schools, temporary locations. Let's be real, guys. This is not a normal learning environment. Calling that open might sound good in a press release, but for students, teachers, parents, that's disruption. It's not education. Now, here is where I really started paying attention. Some schools are still being used as hurricane shelters, while students are also expected to learn there. Yes, they say blocks are separated, there's a shelter manager, but ask yourself this honestly. Is that the safest environment for children? Kids need stability, routine, safety. They need safety, not uncertainty. Damion Crawford isn't fear-mongering here. He's highlighting real risks that parents are thinking about every single day. Another interesting point he raises is the role of international partners like UNICEF. Let me say this clearly. It's good that help is coming, but here is the uncomfortable question. Why are tents being used for learning in 2026 Jamaica? Why are we relying on emergency measures for something that happens regularly? The hurricanes. The hurricanes, they are normally predictable. They can be planned for. Damion Crawford is indirectly asking, where did that preparation fail? This part is heavy. Over 6,700 students have been replaced across multiple regions. And what worries me most is that only a fraction of them are actually being hosted daily. So what about the rest? Are they at home, falling behind? Are they losing interest? Being forced into early dropout? This is how educational inequality grows quietly, not with noise but with silence. And Crawford is right to press this issue. Because once a child disconnects from school, it's very hard to bring them back. Let me say this clearly. You don't have to agree with Damion Crawford on everything politically to respect this. He asks uncomfortable questions. He speaks with urgency. He speaks facts with concern for ordinary Jamaicans. And most importantly, he keeps saying, education is not a party issue. That always matters because schools are not JLP schools or PNP schools. They are community pillars. One thing people don't talk about enough is the hidden cost. Parents are now paying more for transport, meals, childcare. Teachers are teaching in an unfamiliar environments. They are managing rotating schedules. They are carrying emotional stress. This is not sustainable long term. Here is my final honest take. Damion Crawford is not attacking for attention. He is demanding clarity. And clarity is the bare minimum citizens deserve. Jamaica is a resilient country. People are strong, but resilience should not be an excuse for poor planning or weak accountability. If hurricanes are a reality, then preparedness must be a priority. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are these explanations enough, or should the government be more transparent? If you found value in this reaction, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. This is Smith Reacts, and I'll catch you in the next one. Respect.